Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a guest on my video and this is Nymeria. She is my kitty cat. She is named after Arya's direwolf in Game of Thrones and she is adorable. Yeah, I'm currently filming in my hometown, hence the different background, and so I thought I'd get this one to make a little cameo. Yeah, I know she has resting bitch face. That's just her like natural state of being. It's just what she does. Okay, I'm gonna let you go now. I'm gonna let her go. I'm not gonna make her sit with me through the whole video. That would just be mean. But there we go. Yep, she wants off. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, so carrying on, I'm gonna do a video today that has been done quite a lot. I'd say it's been done to death. And I wasn't really gonna do it, but then I saw the recent promotional material that HBO released in terms of Game of Thrones, and I decided to throw my 2 cents in terms of this topic. So this is just the general idea of who will be sat on the Iron Throne at the completion of the series, books and TV. So I was thinking that I wanted to do this because it's a really interesting topic, kind of getting everyone's opinion on who they think is going to come out victorious. And then I don't know if you've seen them, I will link all 4 of them below. HBO released 4 advertisements of Daenerys, Jon Snow, Petyr Baelish and Cersei Lannister talking about them in terms of being the 4 people who are running for the throne. It's kind of a play on the 2016 US election. And those have seemed to be the 4 candidates who are going to go for the Iron Throne, and I presume one of them will be victorious. And I kind of looked into it a little bit more, and I went on the website and I saw that they each have a running mate, which is where it really gets interesting for me. But yeah, today I want to talk mainly about who I think is going to be sat on the Iron Throne at the end, and also talking about that promotional material in terms of what that means for season 7. So yeah, let's just jump right in. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, requests, comment below and I will get back to you. Okay, so there were 4 advertisements ran. First of all, there was Daenerys' advert. Daenerys was running with Tyrion Lannister. He's the hand of the queen, and yeah, all seems fine. Her kind of slogan is break the wheel, so we know she wants to come over to Westeros, kind of unseat all the powerful political houses and take the realm back for the Targaryens. So this tells us many things, simple things. It tells us she's coming to Westeros. You know, her entire fleet is not going to be taken out by an army before she makes it there. My guess is that she will be defeating Cersei when she lands in King's Landing. I think that's going to be her first go-to, especially with Tyrion and Varys advising her as to what's been going on. I think she's going to make a play for King's Landing, and I think she's going to try and take down Cersei. That would be her kind of easiest route to victory, take over the capital, install herself as queen, and then worry about the allegiance of the rest of the kingdoms. That is kind of what Aegon the Conqueror did, so I think that's going to be her plan. I think that she's going to probably take King's Landing, not necessarily easily, but I think she is going to take it from Cersei. I think her biggest struggle is going to be taking the north. I think that with Jon Snow now the proclaimed king in the north, with winter coming, she is really going to struggle with that area. Not only because she has Jon Snow and all of the northern lords behind him to contend with, she also has the weather conditions to contend with. You know, winter is coming. As we saw, every shot in Winterfell is now of snow. They've delayed production of season 7 because they need it to be colder, they need more harsh weather, and I think that Dany's armies are really going to have an issue in that terrain, especially with her Unsullied and Dothraki, who are used to being in Essos in the sun and the sand. They're going to struggle in the ice and the snow. I think her dragons, you know, her kind of ace card, are also going to struggle because, you know, dragons in kind of ice and winter are not undefeatable. We saw this during the Dance of Dragons. Dragons can be defeated by other dragons, and they can be defeated in combat as well. So they're not indestructible, but they are a very powerful force she has behind her. So at the moment, I checked about 15 minutes before I shot this video, so if it has changed, I do apologise. She is coming 3rd in the poll because you can vote on the 4 candidates. She is coming 3rd with just over 30%. She is clearly the most obvious choice to take over. Her story arc has been very much her getting back and taking the throne, and I think she is gaining a lot of support from viewers, and she will gain support from houses because she is being advised by Tyrion Lannister, who is very shrewd, has a very good political mind, and we will be able to steer her away from her more Targaryen instincts. We saw this on the Battle of Meereen when Dany wanted to burn all of the Master's fleets and really go for kind of fucking shit up. Tyrion calmed her down and gave her an alternate approach that meant she could take the Master's fleet rather than destroying it. So yeah, that's Dany kind of wrapped up in a nutshell. I think she's going to struggle in certain areas, and I think she's going to thrive in certain areas. I'm really interested to see where her storyline goes. I don't really want her on the throne. I think it's far too much the obvious choice. Her kind of completion of storyline is too simple, but I think that she is definitely going to be in Westeros, and I think she's going to make a good fight for it. Okay, so the next video that I watched on the promotional material was Jon Snow's, and his kind of storyline has always been very satisfying to me, and he's always been one of my favourite characters. I think how, you know, he was in the Night's Watch and now he's gone back to the North, and his primary objective in the North isn't even solidifying his power or finding a wife or marrying Sansa off or ensuring he has loyalty from all of his lords. His primary objective is taking care of the White Walkers, and I think that really speaks to his character. He doesn't thirst for power. He doesn't probably want to be in charge. He never wanted to be Lord Commander. Sam made sure of that for him. He wants to defeat the White Walkers. He was at Hardhome. He knows of the big threat. He knows the Night's Watch are not ready for it. And I think that's going to be his primary objective next season, is rallying the North behind him to take on the White Walker threat. Now, Jon Snow is running with Lyanna Mormont. I think that was a little shout to the fans, as I know on the Game of Thrones Twitter poll, she came first in favourite newcomer. She's very well liked by everybody because the actress did a very good job playing her, and I think it's very interesting to see that as well. House Mormont has always been very, very close to House Stark. Daisy Mormont fought with Robb Stark and was killed at the Red Wedding, so I think that was quite a cool thing to throw in there. His slogan is serve the people, and I think that really speaks to Jon. He isn't like the Southerners in King's Landing or in the Reach. He doesn't really want power. He isn't lusting to be in charge. He wants to help the people. He wants to do whatever he can to save everybody, hence his big kind of focus on the White Walkers. He knows that if he doesn't fight them, they're going to run through everything, and he knows they're going to really cause some problems. So yeah, I think he will be fighting for independence when Daenerys lands in King's Landing. I think that she is not going to want to give up the biggest kingdom that she rules, given the Iron Islanders' independence, but they are just a small cluster of islands, and it's probably easier for her just to let them go rather than fighting them. Whereas the North is the biggest kingdom out of all 7. It's a huge chunk of land, and Daenerys kind of needs it to solidify her power. She can't just let the biggest kingdom kind of have its independence, especially with the fact that both halves are still connected. So the Iron Islands are off on their own, whereas the North is connected to the rest of Westeros. So I think Dany, as a show of strength, to kind of watch her back, she can't give the Northerners independence. So I think Jon will be fighting for independence next season. I think he's going to have to meet Dany eventually. You know, I think a lot of people will be really happy to see that kind of meeting of each other, especially now we know that Jon's a Targaryen. I think he's really going to have some issues, especially as well, he's going to find out his parentage soon. Will that affect how he rules? Will he make a play for the Iron Throne? I personally don't think he will. You know, he's never wanted power. He joined the Night's Watch, absolving himself of having any power. But I think maybe he might be pushed into it. I'm not really sure, but I know one thing is going to happen in season 7. You know, in my opinion, he's going to have to fight or make peace with Dany, because she is not going to want to give up independence to the North. Currently, he's coming first in the poll, so he's clearly the fan favourite. And again, you know, there's many reasons for that. Lyanna Mormont is a real fan favourite. Jon Snow has always had this very interesting story arc with him joining the Night's Watch, Lord Commander, dying, coming back to life, defeating the Boltons, and is now back in Winterfell. Even though he's a bastard, we know of his parentage. He is a Targaryen Stark, so I think fans really do love him. Again, he's my favourite character. You know, I think it's going to be really interesting to see where his story goes. I hope that in the show they start touching on the idea of the prince that was promised. I know they have been touching on it with Stannis and Melisandre did say she thought Jon took that role, but now she's gone, I hope they don't drop it completely. I hope they give us this idea that Jon is the prince that was promised and he must lead the fight against the White Walkers. I hope they don't just drop it to cut time. Okay, so next we have Cersei Lannister, who is running with Qyburn, and that makes sense. He's her hand of the queen. He is kind of the only person she sees having loyalty to her. He obviously helped her take out the Tyrells and Kevin Lannister and the Sparrows, so he is kind of the best person for her to choose. He's also a very dangerous person to be in power. We know he experiments. We know he got thrown out of the Citadel. We know that he is more than happy to listen to Cersei in terms of reanimating corpses, burning down an entire sept to kill everyone inside. he's a very dangerous man, and I think with Cersei kind of giving him free reign, that he is going to cause some real problems, like some quite terrifying stuff, I would say. Cersei's slogan is power is power. We've known that's been her kind of mantra from the start. She's always wanted power. Way back when in season 1, she wanted to rule through Joffrey. That was her hope, that she would kill off Robert and Joffrey would be completely kind of listening to her and taking her advice, and she would technically be in charge through Joffrey. She kind of saw herself in Tywin's position when Joffrey was king, and obviously she never got it, and I think she was really resentful of that. And now all of her children have died, she has grasped power for herself, and she is going to try and rule. I think it's going to be really difficult for her because she's in a very bad position. She no longer is aligned with no houses. The Tyrells against her, the Dornish against her, King's Landing, you know, they're scared of her, but I don't think they support her. She doesn't have the support of the North, Iron Islands, Vale. She has no kingdom other than the Westerlands supporting her. And I think that the Westerlands support may even be shaky in itself. Now that we know that Jaime has been released from his Kingsguard vows, I guess he'd be in charge of the Westerlands. I'm not really sure. They didn't make it clear on the show whether he's been released from the Kingsguard or just from being Lord Commander. I'm not sure because he did remove his white cloak and he did go to the Riverlands. I don't really know where that kind of is. I guess we'll find out more next season. But if Jaime is in charge of the Westerlands, I can see him turning on Cersei quite soon. She has very few allies left. Yes, she has kind of the army and the gold cloaks, but they could easily turn on her if they see things going a different way. I think, you know, the only thing she is currently ruling on is fear, and I think that when Dany comes to Westeros, when maybe someone else makes the play for the throne, that fear is going to dissipate when they want someone who's actually going to be in charge, who isn't going to fuck everything up. Cersei is not a good ruler. Tywin said it to her, I don't distrust you because you're a woman, I distrust you because you think you're smarter than you actually are. She's not a good ruler. She isn't good at being a commander in charge. You know, she's far too self-centered. She's not as smart as she thinks she is. I kind of can see it in the show a little bit, but in the books especially, she's very into alcohol. Like, she's an alcoholic in the books. She starts gaining weight. She starts losing her beauty. You know, she's kind of completely spiraling. And I think Cersei's last stand is going to be when Dany lands in King's Landing. I think she's going to try and Wildfire 2.0 and burn down the entire city. You know, Dany had visions in the House of Black and White of the throne room being burnt, and I think it's very possible that that Cersei's last kind of defiance will be trying to destroy the city. And then I guess, will Jaime be the one to stop it? Will he be the Valonqar and kill Cersei? I'm not really sure. I think, as much as that seems to be the way it's going, I would love for Tyrion to kill Cersei. You know, to come back as Hand of the Queen in a position of power, to be able to take down his sister would be amazingly satisfying. But to me, it's looking more and more like Jaime is going to be the one to kill her, because I think she will try and do what the Mad King did, and he will put a stop to it just as he did before. That would also put him in Daenerys' favour, especially with Tyrion counselling her, and that may be why Jaime might stick around. I don't think they're going to kill him off. I don't know. I think that with Tyrion being Dany's advisor, I don't think Dany will kill Jaime just for killing her father. Jaime-Tyrion reunion. Please, please. Okay, so at the moment Cersei, with no doubt, is coming fourth in the poll. As far as I'm aware, she only had 2% of votes. Yeah, so she's not a popular character. There is no way she is sitting on the throne at the end. Just my opinion, you know. I think it's too much foreshadowing. She is going to be killed by her brother. I think there's no way Cersei will be sitting on the throne at the end. Okay, so the next video, and this is my guy. This is Petyr Baelish, my man. Okay, so Littlefinger. Now, I love the fact that they included him, because I think a lot of people underestimate Littlefinger. I think that they don't realise how much of a big deal he is. You know, he started this entire war. He started it all. He has complete control over the Vale. He, you know, thought he would have complete control over the North, and I think that's going to be a real focus next season, is Petyr kind of trying to take the North from Jon. Because, you know, when he rode into battle and defeated the Boltons, let's be real here, as much as I love Jon, Jon would have lost without the Vale intercepting. I think he expected to win the Northern men's allegiance. He didn't expect Jon to be crowned king in the North. So I think that Petyr is really going to have to try and do some backstabbing and some underhanded stuff to secure the North away from Jon. Petyr only ever does things to kind of further his self-interest, and I think he would be very, very kind of angry to have risked the Vale soldiers and to have declared for House Stark if he didn't get something from it, and so far he's got very little. Okay, so his slogan is the game. That's what he's doing. He is playing the game, and his goal is to win the game. And his running mate was like the most interesting thing. They've put his running mate as Sansa Stark. Now, like, what? I think that Sansa is going to betray Jon next season. I've said in previous videos that I actually don't think that's going to happen, but after seeing that and watching Comic Con and seeing kind of what the producers have been alluding to, kind of, they haven't said anything, but it's kind of been there. I think that Sansa is going to betray Jon, especially of what Sophie Turner said in the behind the scenes, that her character Sansa was quite jealous of Jon and angry that he got all the credit for winning the battle against the Boltons, when really it was Littlefinger and Sansa who saved the day. I think Sansa is going to betray Jon, possibly out of jealousy, maybe anger. I think that Littlefinger might manipulate her. I think that, you know, even though Sansa has come so far from being this trembling girl in King's Landing, I think that Littlefinger taught her everything she knows about scheming and manipulating. I highly doubt he'd fall for it himself. And I think that Littlefinger is going to be a real player next season. I really hope they step up the character's screen time, and I really hope they give him a really juicy storyline, because Petyr Baelish, I would hate to see him like killed by someone of non-repute or just lose. I think he is so schemy, so dangerous. I think he really needs to kind of, the writers really need to step him up next season. He is such an important character, and I'm so excited to see what happens with Sansa. Is she going to betray Jon? Will it be kind of a double cross? She pretends to betray Jon but is really on his side. Will Littlefinger marry her? Will she marry him willingly? You know, we have to remember that Sansa used to have this real vision of being queen. You know, very early on in the first book and first season, she wanted to be a queen. She wanted to give birth to little princes and princesses. Maybe with a little bit of Littlefinger's doing, that vision and dream could come back to her. And I think that would be so interesting to see Sansa kind of betraying Jon to fulfill her own ambition. I mean, it'd be very sad to see, because I really like the dynamic between Jon and Sansa, that kind of family bond they have. And I've actually done a video on them maybe ending up marrying each other because of kind of the way they were brought up, which I will link below. But I think, you know, it would be such a kind of, it would be so different. Everyone thinks she's going to back Jon. Everyone thinks that she is going to be kind of his right-hand woman. How amazing if she just turned on him and was suddenly with Littlefinger. I think that'd be so cool. But that is probably my bias for the character speaking, like, Littlefinger he's my man. Okay, so Littlefinger is currently coming second in the poll, just a little bit behind Jon. I think Jon is on 34% and Littlefinger is on 33 or 32, so he's not far behind. He is again a fan favourite, and he has been pulling the strings from the start. This entire thing never would have happened if it wasn't for him. If Lysa Arryn hadn't poisoned her husband Jon under Littlefinger's orders, none of this would have happened. Jon Arryn would have kept his hand of the king, Ned would have stayed in Winterfell. No, it wouldn't have happened. You know, the family never would have gone, and the entire story would be completely different. I mean, Jon Arryn probably would have died eventually, Robert Baratheon probably would have died eventually, but I don't think the Starks would have been so embroiled. And I think it would be so fitting to see him end it in charge. That's always what he's been striving for. I have an entire video on my theories about Littlefinger because I fucking love him. So I'll also link that below if you really want to see me get into my, like, adorage for him. Yeah. Okay, so that's everything I have to talk about today. That's kind of the 4 videos I watched. I kind of tried to pick them apart as much as I could. I kind of looked at the polls, looked at the running mates. I know it's kind of a playful thing they're doing, kind of making a play on the election, but I think that as well it does have some meaning, who the running mates are, the quotes, the slogans, kind of the footage they use. I think it all does have a meaning in terms of who is going to make a play for the Game of Thrones, who is going to be sat on that throne at the end. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. I literally cannot wait for season 7. It kills me they haven't started full-on production yet. I know that Maisie Williams tweeted about the script saying it gets really, really deep and oh my god, prepare, and I'm like, I need it now. Can George R. R. Martin at least write Winds of Winter? Because that will like happily tide me over. It's too much, too much. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have your own theory on who you think is going to be sat on the throne at the end, either it be these 4 candidates or someone outside, please comment below. I would love to hear it. And I am sorry this is coming late, by the way. Again, I am in my hometown, so I have been really busy, but I will hopefully be back in a couple of days, if not next week. I am still posting at least once a week, and yeah, I will see you soon, guys. Okay, bye!